Hey, we, it is hard not to be fired up about today's
What we're
conversation
talking
at all times. I'm trying not to be the insufferable guy, but I think this merits being insufferable. If there's anything I can do, we'll get to this conversation more. Let me give you an introduction. This is season 5, episode 2 of Extracted. And this season, we are going to focus on the Epstein class, the Epstein emails, and the egregious, violent, terrible, inexcusable behavior that they're hoping to get away with. Today, we are in the Bang Bang Bunker, as we usually are, named because this is where my dogs hide when there's thunder or fireworks. This is Shannon. My name is Jared. We also have an ongoing contest. You get points if you ask the other person to edit out something because you don't feel great about it. The current score is me 5, her 1. I've had one edit that I needed, and then she had me nuke an entire episode.
Whole episode.
5 points. So
I said 50, but you settled on 5.
no, that's true. I would bring it down to 5. It just seemed like
You're so nice.
I've got Broncos Super Bowl trauma from my childhood, and I don't need another blowout. So it's 5-1 right now, and I don't think we'll be editing anything out today.
Yeah.
Because with the Epstein story, there are irrefutable facts. And these are necessary because a lot of people see the gross allegations. And I'm not, when I say gross, I don't mean like in numbers, gross and net. I'm just saying outright disgusting
Yes.
allegations that these men did to little girls.
Yep.
And it's hard to believe. But when you lay out what has happened, the reality of this story, this case, this ongoing drama/trauma, you can see that foundation lends credence to the allegations. That these people believe they exist above the law. They look at us with great disdain. If there is one theme throughout all the emails that we have looked at, it is they are above. They even wax poetic about how maybe climate change could reduce population. They don't care about us. We are used as pawns or for whatever sexual escapade they've drummed up on an island.
Yep.
So we divided our homework up. She's doing the early era Epstein facts. I'm doing later era Epstein facts. And there's something, too, I would just like to mention. Thank you to the women. Thank you, dear female friend, because what is happening here? The women are standing up with the facts. Melinda Gates just shot gentle fire.
Yes.
When they asked her to speak on behalf of Bill, she said, no, he'll have to answer for that.
Yep.
Then they asked her again about Epstein, and again, you could see the disgust run through this woman's vein, and she said, that's why it had to end because of the things that were happening. Yep. Oh my God, what else do you need? And I think of women throughout our lifetime. It took 3 women to take down Bill Clinton and
Yep.
Paula Jones and Linda Tripp, Monica Lewinsky, and we have dozens upon dozens. I mean, Epstein settled with several dozen alone.
Yes.
The Queen of England helped Prince Andrew settle his
Yes.
case. These are facts, and that's what we'll talk about today. And we are I will disagree with anyone that says we're in a post-fact era. I hear so many journalists say that. That is the intention of people like Trump, of like Epstein, of like Peter Thiel, of like Musk. These guys who don't want to be held accountable. And I've ranted a little bit.
No, I love it because, I mean, as we talk about, people have lost the ability to critically think for themselves. And it's like this information's out there on the internet. It's not like you need a special onion router to get to the dark web or anything. And you can start reading through it yourself and seeing the patterns and seeing the cover up and the payoffs and the threats and the rise to power. And if that doesn't make your blood boil, then I would think you're not human.
Right. You had mentioned when you came down here, I had said it's not left versus right, which is what they try to paint it. It's really top versus bottom. And then you had said it's really right versus wrong.
Yeah.
And I think from a very young person's education, a kindergartner would understand what's happening here and what should take place. We hold our kids accountable for their behavior, but something happens to our kids and then we're not holding those responsible, accountable. Let's change that, because if we don't, we're losing this.
I mean, there is a
country.
reason why the consensual age for sex is 18, and same for when you can join the military, you can drink at 21, you can vote at 18. But anything under that, and including sexual things, is just a non-negotiable.
And that's the way it should be. We had, throughout history, 2 enemies in this country that brought us all together. Nazis. You could build a whole film franchise, several, where we're just beating up Nazis in space, we're beating up Nazis in the ground. and pedophiles.
Yep.
There's entire television shows based on catching predators. And now suddenly, you know what? We might want to let this slide because these guys, they're busy businessmen.
Where's Chris Hansen from Dateline?
Exactly.
You know?
And right now, they're flitting around still. I'll get to some of the ones, and I know you will too, who are facing some consequences. The only person in prison for this at this time is Ghislaine Maxwell. 2 other people had gone to prison. They both committed suicide. I'm putting derisive air quotes. But that's what we're looking at, is the beginnings of the understanding of the American people, of the global population, of how gross and all-encompassing this is.
Well, and even we've already mentioned Bill Gates and Peter Mendelsohn, who was the ambassador to the UK from the United States. They over and over and over denied having any wrongdoings with Epstein, but yet we have the receipts, and now they're like, oh no, and they're trying to kind of, and it's like, again, if it walks and talks like a duck, it's a damn duck.
And it might even...
A turducken.
Yeah, that poor duck. I'm just worried about it.
I have another word that sounds like duck.
Yeah, exactly. They will truck their way through our democracy without accountability. Right. And we will, in this show, mention so many names of people who said they had nothing to do with this, and suddenly they did.
They did.
And included in that is Kash Patel and Pam Bondi both saying there really wasn't anything to look at. And now there is. So that's just the very beginning of what should prod people into place to act. And I'll just say this quickly on behalf of my deceased father, who used to instill this in me whenever I doubted myself or wouldn't eat mashed potatoes, that there was some kid who was probably 17 or 18 who died face down in the sand to fight fascism. And now we have an opportunity to do it, maybe without dying face down in the sand, but standing upright against a billionaire class that thinks that we are pawns.
Exactly. I mean, most people I know, their favorite era in history is World War II, which is when the Third Reich was taken out and NATO was formed, and, you know, the world rejoiced in getting rid of the Nazis. And why are we back there again?
I know, because it's that cycle. Those same, there's that, the people that eventually take advantage of the lower and working classes, put them in that position in the first place. And then when the working and lower classes see that there is no climb, that there is no way out, they rebel against whomever these people tell them to.
Sure.
And that's the same kind of distraction they're trying to force on us now, while they get away with what we are seeing so blatantly.
You know, the last thing I'll say before we get into what we're going to get into is what chills me to my core more than these monstrous men that tortured young women are the women that knew Pam Bondi. She was in a position of being the Attorney General in Florida, and she looked the other way and let him off and didn't prosecute him harder. And then said she had the client list on her desk earlier this year. Nope, then it disappeared. And like any woman that has the knowledge of this going on to not only underage women and other women, but just the fact that people are being brutalized sexually, and that she wears her little gold cross, goes to church on the weekends, you know, professes herself as a Christian, that is what just stops me cold, is how a woman who gave life to another person could knowingly be buddy-buddy with Epstein. Same with Sarah Ferguson. She asked Epstein to marry her in an email. That was the Duchess of York. She sent Epstein photos of her daughters. I mean, it gets... Like, I want to go take a shower. I'm so grossed out, and I've got the ick.
Yeah, just a Chernobyl shower, scrub brushes, and people in suits. And I think you mentioned Fergie is a good segue into the facts.
Yes.
And now, from 1995 to 2005, my buddy Boyles here will deliver some of the facts.
So one of the things I'm most curious about is how Epstein went from being a bunkmate at summer camp with Bill Barr, who's our head of the DOJ.
Sorry.
And Bill Barr's dad hired Epstein to work at that prestigious school as a teacher when he wasn't qualified.
And he got lots of people complained about him at that school.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And they complained about Bill Barr's dad, who was also a sexual predator.
Yeah.
And Epstein makes this like super trajectory jump from being this lame-ass teacher to working as a unregistered hedge fund manager with 2 ultra wealthy clients that were never disclosed. Although he did meet Leslie Wexner in the 80s, and they had some sort of special relationship where somehow Epstein became the power of attorney over his finances and took over that brownstone in New York City, the big home in Ohio, and a lot of his money. And thus begins this, I guess Epstein's like a hoarder of powerful elite men around the world, secrets and information. And then, of course, then he videotaped and blackmailed these people to keep them from, snitching on him.
And just gaining more and more power. I mean, what a pyramid scheme.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. Okay, I'm not going to interrupt too much.
No, you're fine. And so
you should see the list on this phone here.
I'm
you're
curious.
You're going to tax your storage with this thing.
Right? But just like how he became increasingly more visible in circles like Wall Street, academia, politics, science, and philanthropy, and just this bizarro, opaque wealth that he is amassing and people that he's working with. But meanwhile, he is luring underage girls to his home in Florida for massages and would sexually assault them. And then he would send them to his buddies overseas or to David Copperfield's or fill in the blanks. And he has been allowed to operate like that for years with people knowing who he was, because he started getting in legal trouble in 2005 for paying a 14-year-old girl for sexual acts.
And this is her dad shows up.
Her dad shows up and sues Epstein, and that's what starts it. And you had mentioned before, Alex Acosta, he's the AG at the time.
Oh, that
Pam
guy's such a
Bondi,
weasel.
she becomes AG of Florida in 2011. So that little girl in 2005 is, I would guess, one of more than tens, if not 50s to 100 victims.
And here they go in with all those victims, all those stories, ready to make a big federal case. And he gets off with what is essentially he gets away with. I mean, Alex Acosta, who eventually would be in our federal government, and I'll get to that in my era, but it's state charges, right?
Right. Local, he serves a little jail time, but his jail time was like country club jail, He got to do house arrest, go to the jail every once in a while, conjugal visits, and still he bragged about getting almond joys in jail. And, it's just like he wasn't in jail.
Does almond joy mean
candy bar? Yeah.
For real.
For real.
Oh,
yeah, that wasn't a
sex
sexual
talk or
thing. No.
Okay. Yeah.
Although,
be careful what I hand out at the door at Halloween. Burn that dude's house down.
But just this, and we had talked about it earlier. Even though Ghislaine, I'm saying it wrong, Ghislaine Maxwell.
You don't have to respect her.
Her dad,
right.
being this publishing magnate, triple spy for Israel. He lived in the UK.
So he's a triple agent, Robert Maxwell, who mysteriously dies. They say, peeing off his yacht. And his death. That's where Epstein kind of all of a sudden has a lot more money, and he and Ghislaine go off on their own. Yeah,
and it's almost like he partnered up with her, but he knew Robert Maxwell before he met Ghislaine, is what I have read.
And I think that's some of how what people allege is how Epstein is an agent of Israel.
Sure, because he is also been said to have been a triple agent.
Well, he actually was working for Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and the fact that Peter Mendelsohn was emailing Epstein government secrets both about the UK and the US, I would make him maybe even a quintuple agent, if not more. I had to use my fingers.
No, it was impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, like, he comes out of nowhere, acts very mysterious and opaque, and through, I think, blackmailing people and bullying people and having Leslie Wexner in love with him, he has gotten this power and this money and is doing horrible things all over the world.
Yeah, and there is video of Epstein with Ehud Barak, and he's recommending Peter Thiel's Palantir. There's his audio there,
which is headquartered here in Denver.
And the web is spinning outward, and now we're in it.
Yep.
Because this is, they've made an executive of Palantir is now a high-ranking military officer.
Right.
And this is all happening. These are all the facts, and not just within the emails, but within our news that is glibly reported as if it has nothing to do with the world's largest sex trafficking ring.
Right.
These people are connected because Epstein was the master orchestrator of so many people and events. It's disgusting. You'd hope you'd get maybe something, a Forrest Gump who would bring us all together with ignorance and bliss and joy. But no, it's this absolute creep show who is getting blackmail material on the world's most powerful people.
The amount of hidden cameras all through that New York brownstone, and remember when the FBI raided it, they had troves of videos and images. And what I find disgusting in the latest leak of his documents and such is that they didn't redact the pictures of the victims. Many of them are nude pictures. They didn't redact the names and the addresses of the victims, but they redacted the alleged perpetrators.
Yeah,
and that was on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you know that. I'm not telling you anything.
No, I know. And no, because we're talking we have a crowd here in the basement, the Bang Bang Bunker. Welcome. The redactions fit a 3-letter word and a 5-letter word. Oh gosh, I forgot what I was going to say.
No.
But the emails alone show that not just a disdain for the public, but they're working to manipulate other people. When you see that Peter Thiel suddenly is emailing with Epstein talking about how Trump can't release his taxes. Mm-hmm. What?
Right. Right.
And you see, it's unfortunate so many people are involved. You see Jeff Bezos is included, and he just yesterday laid off
Hundreds.
No,
thousands.
At the Washington Post.
Amazon just laid off 16,000, but you're right. Washington Post.
But most importantly,
300.
the journalism.
Yes.
Because that's power.
They're trying to kill it all off.
Control the narrative.
And like you said, look what happened to PBS and public radio and just the silencing of media. There have been 2 or 3 African-American journalists in Atlanta that were arrested by ICE and disappeared. And no one's talking about it. And it's just like, again, this is that Steve Bannon playbook, flood the zone. There are so many things that are giving me anxiety and I can't sleep. And you're just like, you're like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
And you feel stuck. But that's why we're doing this.
That's why everybody needs to do this. And I don't want to be it's so easy to be written off as a conspiracy theorist. It's so easy to be written off as someone who is just writing on allegations for clicks. And that's not what we're doing here.
No.
The facts are everywhere, and
Yeah.
it has. I think you have the terrible nucleus of the sex trafficking ring, but to see what all the people involved have been allowed to do since then, it's beyond what Hollywood could write.
Yes,
one of them is the president of the United States,
Absolutely.
and many of the others paid for him to get there.
Absolutely,
which will be covered in the latter half that I've been assigned.
Yes, which we can start to pivot into, but. And again, I know I've said this, is that people knew who he was starting in 2005, the criminal stuff. And even the Princess of Norway emailing him, calling him her crazy friend. Mm-hmm. It's like, again, these women who have had children, and it's like they accept what he's doing and they just think it's cute or it's, and it's just like, what? That's where I just lose my, what. And I'm trying not to swear, but you talk about being angry and being upset and just, my heart is just beating and I just want to kick someone so hard in the ass I can't see straight.
Yeah, and the layers of the rage.
Yeah, it's a big onion.
When you look at, a lot of, the MAGA, the crowd being treated with, such just abandoned, but still loyal to the people that are wrecking their lives. And then you look at this higher level of like the Fox News people that are paid by the wealthiest to keep the poor mad at immigrants. It's just, guys, can we take a step back and punish the actual problem? Mm-hmm. Can we take care of the actual issue here? Because you're not seeing immigrants and drag queens on these lists.
This is like a 7-layer dip of lies, corruption, STDs, drugs, nasty shit.
That is such a great description.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like I get so upset when I start, because I just think like, and here's the thing. They've said, there's 50 victims out there. I swear to God, Jared, it's 3 times that number. Because there are so many that still haven't come forward because they're scared out of their minds, and my heart goes out to them. Or they know better. They know that nothing's going to work, nothing's going to help them, so why even put themselves out there? Because the MAGA people are doxing the victims. They're trying to ruin these women's lives when they have already been brutalized by one of the biggest monsters of this century. What more? You know, it's like, for people that can't connect the dots and want to continue to glorify this administration and these people that are all involved in the Epstein files, have a nice life. That's about as nice as I can be. But it's like, you're going to rot in hell.
But the thing is that for people, the middle and working classes, the thick with MAGA, they're not going to have a nice life.
No.
And it's going to be at the hands of the people that have been manipulating them into supporting Trump, who is a damn diddler.
And even this week, right? The snow hitting the south east part of the country. There's no FEMA to go and help those people. They don't have heat. They don't have ability to get to groceries. No one can afford their health care right now. No one, they're letting things go. They've cut funding for cancer for children. They're telling you not to take your vaccinations. They're telling you that protein's bad for you. You should have meat and dairy all goddamn day. Like, the backwards, like, craziness in this programming, I don't mean to get crazy right now, but it's just like, how can people refuse to see the truth?
And I think,
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Girl, are you talking?
I know.
I mean, you look at what you just said there, and that breathless beauty was, you could break down into little statements. Alex Preddy is dead because Donald Trump had sex with a kid. And that is a pretty direct line. Because all the things you talked about, all the things that are spinning out of control are things that Trump and his crew are not qualified nor care to do, because all they know that they need to do for Americans right now is feed us more rage and more distractions. And we need to cut through that. And we need to get to the bottom. And that's what we hope to do here. And that's what we hope all of you out there do with what you know and what with your platforms. It is a wonderful irony to me that someone who, like Zuckerberg, I don't know if he's in the Epstein files, but he's someone that has made party to Trump, and he has lied to Americans.
And given him money.
Yes.
And data.
And we need to use, they're going to use us, we need to use him back and share. It's so easy right now to move your neighbors. And we need to do it before it's something that becomes far more difficult to do.
They're wanting to nationalize the election next fall, the midterms, just to keep him out of jail and for this to go any further. And you're spot on about, because really it starts at the local level. And, you've had these genius ideas about going to the park and cooking hot dogs and inviting people over just to get them talking. Not necessarily about political parties, but just right and wrong shit, like what we're talking about. So anyway,
should I get into?
Yes, please do.
No, and I didn't mean to dismiss anything you said.
Good.
I'm not going to do a timeline here. Really, I just want to pay tribute to people. Virginia Giuffre,
God rest her soul,
said she would not kill herself.
Yeah, and she committed suicide.
She committed suicide, as did several other people throughout this timeline. But it's really important here because what she did is she's taken in at 14, met at Mar-a-Lago at Trump's resort, and
Trump said Epstein stole her away.
Yeah, and she comes out eventually, and is so bold, and it plainly says she was given classes on how to please Epstein and his clients. She goes through all this, is sent to Thailand to massage school, and is told to come back with a Thai girl. While she's over there, she falls in love with someone, and he's Australian. They moved to Australia. She's gone, disappears. She contacts Epstein and Maxwell and says, "I'm not coming back. I'm not bringing you a girl." This is a thing that happened.
Yeah.
And Virginia is important because when she comes out and tells her story, she names Alan Dershowitz, who's an absolute sleaze, but
huge sleaze.
Prince Andrew.
You don't even call him that. Andrew.
He's just Andrew.
Mountain rape your kid, whatever his last name is.
Yeah, exactly. And he denies it. Denies.
They all deny.
But eventually, when it's about to go to court, and this is the trick with the guys in this scam is they have the money. When it's about to go to court and there would be discovery, they settle.
The Queen gets involved.
The Queen's money goes to help
Silence
settle.
her.
Yeah, help silence her. That's a fact. Just say that. If somebody says, well, I'm not sure about all this Epstein stuff, sure love Trump America, just say the Queen of England paid to shut Virginia Giuffre up about
her son
and Epstein and that whole network. And I think when you this is a girl, a little girl who went through this, and then of course dies by suicide,
which is not what happened.
But she has a book out. I think it's the Miami Herald. Am I wrong? I think it's that's the one that is Julia.
Yeah, Julia Brown.
Brown did all the. Julia Brown found that she was being tracked by Epstein. Her flights were being tracked.
It's that software.
Yeah.
That we were talking about.
Exactly.
And you know what? I mean, as most people know, your iPhone has 9 microphones on it. It's always listening, even when it's powered off. But yes, they are listening and monitoring and using that information to try to strong arm people into silence.
And I'm not going to do a big list or a timeline. I'm just going to give you basics that don't just point at the sex trafficking scandal and the involvement of the most powerful people in the world, especially in this country, but hand deliver it to us. The financial misdeeds are ridiculous. And now Ron Wyden in Oregon,
Senator Wyden
he's gone after, it's a Bank of New York Mellon, I think it's what it's called. Over almost $400 million in transactions. They didn't even flag $1 million at a time by Epstein.
In which agency facilitated this? That's important.
Was it the Department of Treasury? Or?
No, it was the CIA.
Oh, well, see, that's something I don't know, because he did write a letter about the CIA, but it wasn't about Epstein. The most recent one wasn't.
Right. But he was looking into the financial transactions, and to me, it sounded like he found something that the CIA had done and sent it to the CIA and wanted to talk about that.
Okay, because...
And
this actually is kind of a valuable point, because he's also written the CIA about the ballots taken from Georgia, which is they are hoping that we're not paying attention, and they are hoping that we continue to be silent and compliant so that the Trump administration can come up with an argument to somehow nationalize the elections based on whatever manipulation they're going to do of the many times over proven
legitimate election
by Republicans.
Yeah.
All Republican in Georgia said, no, it's legitimate, go away, Trump, as he was calling and begging for votes. Now, so let's just look at the list of J.P. Morgan Chase. They had to pay roughly $300 million because they weren't reporting the transactions. Deutsche Bank has been called out. Harvard University has been called out. Barclays Bank. Huge institutions not flagging major things coming from Epstein over the years because it's about moneyed people. And unfortunately, I'm not a part of that. I want to be wealthy just so I can be a good one.
A good guy?
Yeah, I may start a thing. And then like you mentioned, Fergie, she goes to Epstein. She needs a loan. Come on, lady, just spend within your means. You're part of the royal family. Then you get into the more modern release. You have all these banking transactions that banks are being called out for, that they're settling for, that they are going through the criminal process for, or at least the investigative process, because they are all covering for Epstein. Sure. And then you have all these these once worshipped tech icons like Elon Musk saying, just like so many of the others. And this is another one of those little nuggets. Just say, hey, crazy MAGA uncle, here's a nugget.
Yep.
Because Elon Musk said he had denied Epstein. And then you look at the emails, not allegations, actual emails, and he and his brother Kimball are essentially begging Epstein to go to the island. When can we go? Peter Thiel, now, who plays a major role in our government, makes $1 billion, our taxpayer dollars, just like Musk. He, too, is in the Epstein files, making recommendations to Epstein.
And to other world leaders.
On how to govern
And I mean, like,
and Epstein makes the connection of Palantir to Israel.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. All this connectivity, when you stand in our spot as just people who are still suckers who pay taxes, unlike all of our major companies out there, it almost seems too much. But when you break it down, that these are people just like us, making big mistakes and hoping that you and I don't do anything about it, it should light enough of a fire that there's enough of us to do something about it. And this is where this begins, because if we don't do it now, because for too long we've let the baddies off. I mean, just look at now. We have ICE agents who are people that should be in prison from the January 6th insurrection, but for too long we've let people off. Here's our chance, and this isn't born out of resentment of wealthy people. This is born out of people getting away with things. Your uncle gets a DUI, he's going to go to jail. His life is messed up. Some kid with a hoodie takes a Snickers bar. He's got to go through some stuff. And so should these people at the highest level for the longest amount of time, or whatever is determined by a jury of their peers that they should go through.
They're not above the law.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's, I think, the biggest thing. And you touched on that earlier. It's like they have so much money that they can buy their way out of trouble. They can donate their way into good standing or pay off victims and silence them. And yet it's still not enough. It's like you can have 6 Lamborghinis and a helicopter and a submarine, but you now are getting off on
You're not truly living unless you have the leader of a major country.
Right.
Yeah, I need him in my pocket.
And you now have videotape of him with an underage woman. You know what I mean? And like that was the kind of power these guys got off on. Yeah. And that's sick.
It is. And so in my span that I was going to do history on, and I think we may have mentioned this in the first episode, but more and more people are talking about it, and I love to see it. The brilliant comedian Trey Crowder came out. You know, he just sits in his truck and he rips these amazing rants. I was a little bit reticent to say what he said, but which is, because I didn't want to give credit to some of these people, but the whole QAnon Pizzagate crowd is the saddest of the sad, because what they were talking about was actually happening. But now that Trump is involved, they don't want to stand by it. And can't you just relish in being right? Maybe it's one of the first times in your life. Relish in being right. It wasn't the liberal elite. It was everyone from all facets of demographic, but just happen to have enough money to play, are involved in something that, based on the bed of facts that we've talked about in the last 30 minutes, makes all of the worst allegations seem very possible.
Very.
Yeah. Am I preaching? I'm sounding like I'm preaching.
No.
Okay.
And it's like, and I know you and I talk every day, and we spend a lot of time on this, but, you know, there's just not much more we can do other than putting floodlights on websites, you know, to get people's attention, to say, you know, educate yourself. Don't take it from us. Like, educate yourself, read what's out there, and use your brain, and think, would you want, if you have a daughter, would you have wanted her at 14 to have been having some of these terrible things happen to her?
And I think there have been deaths.
Oh, yeah.
I'm haunted by the video of Epstein chasing a couple of young girls around the kitchen. I don't...
There's in the released files are multiple documents where the FBI took a call, NYPD took a call, and it was a victim, and they were explaining what had happened, and that the security for one of the men we've named came to her and said, you keep your mouth shut or you're going to end up like those other see you next Tuesdays buried on the golf course.
I know. Oh, God.
Like, to be a little girl and hear that from some big mobbed up guy, like, that's the stuff nightmares are chock full of.
And we can step out of the nightmare because we have precedent. When pressure is applied, things happen. Things are happening in Europe with people facing some levels of admonishment, as we've mentioned, which is, I think it's kind of, for me, it's like, okay, we helped out with the fascists you had.
Yeah.
Now can you help out with the fascists we have?
Do us a solid.
Yeah. And you know, it's like Alex Acosta, who gave the sweetheart deal and was rewarded by Trump as being the Secretary of Labor. But when pressure was put on, he was dismissed.
And where's he today?
Right, he has 2 daughters. God, I just want to raid the Acosta abode.
Acosta.
But these things can happen. We need to put the pressure. I don't know if it's a general strike, I don't know what it is, but we can't shut up because all they want to do is move on. When Donald Trump starts waxing about his ballroom or waxing about a statue of Christopher Columbus or that immigrants are this or whatever it is, these are scapegoats. These are distractions. I don't care how much you love this man. It's time to detach because what you've put yourself under is a disgusting mound of the world's worst ready to drop on you. And what you're expecting, I don't know. All they've given you is reasons to be angry. If you want one of those, I think that we have ample details.
More than ample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about this?
I feel great. I mean, great in the sense of we laying down facts, and we've said it before. This is hard information to take in. It's hard to read about. It's hard to know about sleeping at night, but it's important that people know because crimes are being committed still, and people are still lying and still trying to cover this up. And you and I are truth seekers, and we shine the light when we see corruption and criminal depravity.
And that's the thing too, some people mean well, but they're sharing stuff that's not true. Don't do that. That just hurts as bad as if somebody's just blatantly lying.
No AI slop.
And one of the issues with, speaking of AI, but social media is people are monetizing just based on rage clicks. And a lot of, I'll see stuff that you'd think that I would be excited about because, oh, hey, Epstein, this and that. And it's not, it hasn't been verified or it's just not true. And they're just doing it to get clicks and that hurts the overall movement. I think it's time now, like if honestly the country is in a lurch here, this could be it. This could be the final stop for this bus. And it's up to us.
And that
was a little poem.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
You and I being...
You don't have to celebrate the poem. I know. I didn't want people out there thinking, oh, that dumb poem he wants her. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
You and I have been media people, and we know what a good source is, right? And there are websites that you can verify things on. You can check out if something is true or not. But as much as I love reading Reddit and TikTok and watching YouTube, those are not legitimate sources for information. It's a great way to spread information, but to your point, when you're seeing something and if it just doesn't really sit right, go look into it and see if it's actually fact or not.
And I think it's a good time to find the good journalists, the people that are out there. I mean, Julie Brown, we talked about. Miami Herald has done incredible work here. They are destroying our fourth estate.
The fourth estate.
They're destroying the media. They're destroying the storytellers. Find the good ones. Find a way to support them.
Kyle Clark here in Colorado.
CNN asked what is the name of that reporter? It's Caitlin something.
Caitlin Collins and Don Lemon.
She asked, this is such a tell here. She asked Donald Trump. He was talking about one of his projects. I don't know what it was. And she's like, wait, what about the victims? And he says, you're a rude person. You're not a great reporter. Smile more.
Yeah, you need to smile more.
Is that not a perpetrator's language? Smile more. So... Well, I hope this was of value to you. And, that's one thing, too. There are comments on YouTube. We could get into discussions. And I've always seen that when discussions take place, there are those helpers that show up and they have the right links and they have the things. And this could be that place.
We appreciate people and their time and watching and engaging. Yeah.
Well said. All right. Let's just get out. You feel good about it?
I do.
I do as well. It's a new interface. I don't know. There's the stop button. There's going to be more.
It's like, where do we hang up?
There's a digital stop button here, but the real life stop button ain't going to get pressed.
Never.